There are some teams that are obviously going to be near the top, uh, but I think I have a couple of choices that waver from the common expectations. So without further ado, I shall jump directly into the most exciting division, in my opinion, in the MLB, the American League East, which consistently brings the offense and less so in the pitching department. I have the New York Yankees winning this division this season. Their lineup is just mashers all the way through. Primarily, you've got Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and many others to follow them. I think the biggest thing with this Yankees team, as honestly with most teams in all sports, is health. Their top guys have consistently had to battle injuries throughout the season and miss half the amount of games that you normally play. And that's a big toll for them to take. Luckily, they're the Yankees and usually have talent in a lot of different positions. And especially adding Corey Kluber in the offseason to really have that dynamic 1-2 with Garrett Cole. Their pitching staff is a little bit more top heavy than it's usually been, and that's good enough to get them. They'll probably get 40 wins out of those guys alone. And so with the lineup that they have and those top two starting guys, the Yankees just look to be the juggernaut atop the AL East and should take it. But that's not to count out the Tampa Bay Rays, Toronto Blue Jays, Boston Red Sox. We can count out Baltimore. We know they won't be good, but those top four teams are all going to be pretty solid and bring a ton of offense. So it'll be fun, long, fun games to watch in the AL East this year. We go to the American League West, where I believe this division's a little bit weaker. A couple of teams have lost guys. Obviously, we have the Los Angeles Angels with Trout and Ohtani, which will be exciting to watch, but I just still think the Angels don't have the club that's built around those guys, and it might never be enough for Mike Trout. So I do not have them picked. I'm going to go with the Houston Astros to win the American League West, and that is narrowly over the Oakland Athletics, mostly because of the core that Houston was able to keep together. They lose George Springer, of course, in the offseason, and Justin Verlander not playing at the beginning of the season either, but still with a core of Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Zach Greinke, Lance McCullers, who they just re-signed. Really solid core for Houston. They've been through it. They've proven it. They've already gone a full season now without having to face the true hatred of fans for the sign stealing scandal. And I feel like that might fall a little bit to the wayside again this season. So we'll have to see. But the Oakland Athletics are solid. I just think their team, because of the small payroll that they have, they just aren't ever able to accumulate enough talent. So this is definitely the weakest division in the American League, and I see it going to the Astros. The American League Central, this will be a fun one. Everyone is focused on the National League West for the battle of juggernauts there, but I think the American League Central has two juggernauts that will be going at it too, and that is the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. I have the White Sox picked to win the division. Lucas Giolito emerging as a front runner for the Cy Young. And you've, of course, got Dallas Keuchel and Lance Lynn, two veteran pitchers behind him to provide some stability to the rotation. And their core is really young and really exciting. Tim Anderson, Yoan Moncada, and Jose Abreu has consistently been one of the best run producers in baseball now for the last 5 to 6 years. And this White Sox team is just still on an upward trend. They're getting better every year. The pitching's been more and more solid. The hitting has been fantastic. And I have them picked to go a lot farther than just winning the AL Central. So stay tuned for that. We'll wrap up the American League with the wild card matchup. I have the Tampa Bay Rays visiting the Minnesota Twins. Oh, I almost said Timberwolves. Freudian slip there. I'm picking against the Toronto Blue Jays once again. I am very well known for emotionally hedging all of my picks, as I did with the Islanders, as I did with the Blue Jays in the playoffs last season, as I've done with the Toronto Raptors. So I picked them not to make the playoffs here, but if they do, then it is just gravy for me. The injuries for the Blue Jays, probably too much to overcome. Even to start the season, like their lineup is going to mash, but the pitching is not there. And they're going to need some guys to step up out of that bullpen. So I have the Rays, who obviously made it to the World Series last year, and the Minnesota Twins, who again are continually building out a roster. Them and Chicago are in an arms race in the AL Central, and so those will be my two wildcard teams heading into the playoffs. We have the National League. I'm going to start in the NL East. The Atlanta Braves. I have them picked because they have the deepest team in the division, talent at every position, and something to prove after really falling out early in the last couple of postseason runs that they've made. Their core is looking to be in the prime of its window, and you've got Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr., Marcelo Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud, all really solid guys who are going to make this lineup tough to work through. And the pitching is solid too. They get Mike Soroka back, who missed the entire 2020 with an Achilles injury. They pick up Charlie Morton and Drew Smiley as bargain bin, really solid additions to add to the end of that rotation. So yeah, Atlanta looks to be really solid, and I have them picked to win the NL East. The division that most MLB fans are excited for is the NL West. This is probably the division to watch besides the AL East, and that is because you have the two best teams in baseball in the same division. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres this is like the space race, but in baseball. Like, these two teams have accumulated such a wealth of talent and depth at each position. The starters are incredible, like especially Los Angeles, who get the Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer in free agency to add to a rotation that includes Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, David Price, Julio Urias, and Dustin May, who probably won't even make the starting rotation. Just unbelievable pitching from this club. And San Diego on the other side makes the pickup of Yu Darvish to be their number one guy, and have made some big trades to go all in. And I know they got Mike Clevenger last season. We'll see if he's healthy and back in time to pitch this season. I have the Dodgers winning just because of the continuity. San Diego's still a team that's putting it all together. They will be there come playoff time. But Los Angeles has just been doing it now for decades. And Mookie Betts is the leader of that team. Of course, you've still got Cody Bellinger as well. They're going to have a bunch of MVP front runners, and it's a really solid team up and down. They're the model franchise in the MLB, and it's hard to pick against them to have success. The National League Central Division. This one was a tough one to pick as well. You've got quite a few teams in there, Chicago, St. Louis, but I'm going with the Milwaukee Brewers to scoop up the NL Central this year. Barely edging out St. Louis because I love the Nolan Arenado pickup, but I'm going with Milwaukee. I think Christian Yelich is going to bounce back. He was MVP in 2019, had a really tough year in 2020. Can't really hold anything in 2020 against anyone. So I expect him to bounce back and have an excellent MVP caliber year. Colton Wong and Jackie Bradley Jr. were good pickups for the Brewers, and their team is solid. The pitching is really going to rely on their two young stud starters, Woodruff and Burns. Those two are projected to have fantastic seasons, but when pitching is so young, you usually don't see that same level of production. But I went with it to go outside the box. St. Louis was too easy of a pick, so I'm going with the Milwaukee Brewers. And that leaves me with the National League wildcard race. I have the New York Mets visiting the San Diego Padres. The Padres are going to have the second best record in the league, but they will finish second in their division. That is my projection. And the New York Mets are going to have enough with Jacob deGrom and Pete Alonso and Marcus Stroman. And this team, I think, is going to do it. It's going to be between them and St. Louis, I think, for that last wildcard spot. And man, imagine if you're San Diego going to have such an incredible season, and your reward is playing a 1-game elimination against Jacob deGrom in the wildcard game. Like, that's just craziness to me. But that is my MLB season preview for the division winners and the wildcards. I will jump quickly into the awards. The MVPs, the favorites for the MVP in both divisions, or both conferences, pardon me, are Mike Trout and Mookie Betts in the AL and NL respectively. those are the easy ones that you can put in, not great value picks. The value picks that I chose to go with were DJ LeMahieu of the New York Yankees and Christian Yelich, of course. I got to back up my division winner preview, so I got to pick him to be an MVP dark horse. In the Cy Youngs, obviously the top two are Jacob deGrom and Garrett Cole. Again, not value picks. My value picks, I'm going with Kenta Maeda of the Minnesota Twins and Jack Flaherty of the St. Louis Cardinals. So two names that are not in the minds of most MLB fans. And so going off the book a little bit, and we've seen in previous years, no names really have a shot at Cy Youngs, or at least up and comers, because of how statistically based all these awards are now. So with all of that being said, I give you my World Series prediction. Feels pretty obvious who we have coming out of the National League. I cannot go against the Los Angeles Dodgers, looking for them to defend their title. They will be there. But coming out of the American League, this was really tough. And I ended up going with the Chicago White Sox because I think their core is just really exciting. They have the pitching depth now. The Yankees always seem to just get so close and not make it over the hump to the World Series in this decade. I think that'll be the American League Championship Series, will be the White Sox and the Yankees. And I'm looking for Chicago to pull it out and make it there. And so it should be a really fun MLB season. There's going to be a lot of fans in the stands this summer because of the outdoor venues. So it's going to be our first real season of sports where it's going to feel like everything is back to normal, quote unquote, which I don't know if it ever will be. But the vaccination rates are rising here in Canada, and I know they're going out like crazy in the States. So we're going to see a lot of fans, and should be a really fun MLB season. That wraps it up for my MLB season preview. We'll take a quick break and come back for some Combat Corner.